Hello. How does this make you feel? And what about this one? And how about this one? One thing that these three images have in common, besides the fact that they're all images, is that they're all album covers that are attached to pieces of music. And regardless of whether or not you've actually heard this music before, or maybe you've just seen these images on their own, they've made you feel something. And that speaks to the fact of how album covers carry emotional weight. And whether or not that emotion was something like gripping, intense fear when you look at the album cover for the newest Daughters record, or maybe it was just a silly little chuckle in your heart when you saw this dog wearing a shirt and a tie, and you're looking at him and you're like, well, they don't normally do that, and also does he have to pay taxes, and also is he tax exempt maybe, and does he have a family and a mortgage, and then you just spiral because you're worried about him? Or maybe you just have a deep hatred in your heart when you see the Minions soundtrack album cover. And maybe that's just me. The great thing about art is that it's subjective. We can all feel different things. Those were maybe my emotions, but that doesn't mean we all have the same emotions. But regardless of what you felt, every album does have an emotion tied to it. And on top of needing to have emotional resonance, when I asked a couple that owns a local record store what they think makes an album cover great, they told me that the art needs to reflect the music that's on the inside. And as much as I'd like to jump into some of my favorite examples of these two things, I think we first need to go into a brief, tiny little history lesson about album covers. So come on boys, we're going back in time real quick. Alright boys, and now that we're here, I hope everybody's ready to have a great time, because we're in the crisp year of 1939. It's the very end of the Great Depression and the very beginning of World War II. So I hope everybody has their little birthday party hats and their little streamers, because it's time to get rockin'. It's a great time all around. And to set the scene, we're here with our protagonist, Alex Steinweiss. He's just like 23. He just got a new job at Columbia Records as their art director, which basically was just to like make advertisements and stuff for the label. When he's sitting there and he's clickety-clacking away on his keyboard that they definitely didn't have in 1939, and he gets hit with this inspiration, this little inkling of an idea, and he turns, I assume they're in the same room, I don't really know. He turns to his photographer friend and he says, hey guy, we need to go outside and we need to take a picture of this Imperial Theater that's in New York. I'm feeling it. I'm really feeling it in my bones, and I'm feeling it in my guts, and I'm feeling it in my bones. And that's a direct quote from him, but don't quote me on that. So Alex Steinweiss and his photographer friend took this picture of the Imperial Theater, and I guess it was just that much of a banger picture that it turned into this, which is the first ever album cover. And I know what I was thinking when I was doing this research was, records have been around for longer than the 30s as far as I know, so why was the first ever album cover done in 1939? And the answer to that is that there just wasn't really a market for album artwork before this point. I mean, record stores weren't popular even in the slightest bit. People didn't really go to them. When you wanted to buy a record, you kind of just went to like a hardware store and they were just on the back wall. And you walk in and you go, I mean, I was gonna get a toilet today, but I guess I'll just go ahead and buy this record really quick. I hope that's okay with everybody. And then our guy Alex, he said, I'm not done. And he went on to just create like so many more album covers throughout the rest of his life, because he's quoted as saying like, I just love music that much and I want to just keep making these. And that's just blossomed into what we know album covers to be today, where like artists will just drop the album cover like weeks in advance before the music comes out, just to like get people excited. And we can't really imagine an artist dropping an album without album artwork. And that's all thanks to the big guy Alex Steinweiss. That's the end of the history lesson. Thanks. But as I said a few minutes ago, now I want to go briefly into detail about some of my favorite examples recently of album covers that I think, number one, have emotional resonance behind them, and number two, reflect what's on the inside. So we're going to do that now. So the first album I want to talk about a little bit is the 2014 album Zaba by British psychedelic kind of indie group Glass Animals. When you look at the album cover, you see that it's super pretty. It's just this like lush painting of this jungle. There's a lot of different colors going on. There's a lot of different animals. There's a little monkey in the tree. There's a little like girl on the ground. She doesn't really fit in the jungle. I don't know why she's there. But there's just so much going on, and you can imagine being in this jungle, just being surrounded by all these different noises and all these different sounds, all this different stuff, and all this different like area to explore. And that's to me what listening to the album is like. You turn it on, and there's just so many different sounds going on. And it's not, I'm not gonna say it's the most like experimental thing I've listened to in my life, but it's just so interesting, and the sound is so full and so lush, and there's like jungle samples throughout the album. Like I think the track Pools starts with just like these birds chirping away in the morning, waking me up for school if I was in the jungle. And it's just great. And I think it really reflects what's on the inside when you look at it, because it's so busy, but it's so like put together, and it's so pretty, and I love it. The next album I want to talk about is called Ginger, and it was released earlier this year by rap group Brockhampton. This album was released at a fairly tumultuous time for the group. I mean, last year there was a lot of drama where one of their members was kicked out for doing a lot of questionable and also very not good things. And it kind of seemed like, at least in the public sense, the group wasn't really dealing with those problems. I mean, they released an album amidst the drama, and it kind of divided a lot of their fans because they weren't really talking about it. However, with this new album, Ginger, the album cover depicts two of the members embracing in a hug, and it kind of seems therapeutic. I mean, a lot of the subject matter on the album is them directly speaking about the things that happened and like finally discussing a lot of their emotions on the topic and a lot of their feelings and a lot of what they've been needing to say for like the past year. And it seems really therapeutic to them, and it's also kind of therapeutic to the people that listen to it, because I mean, you get to hear these people who you've listened to actually talk about the things that have been on their mind. And choosing a hug as that album cover fits really well. And the last album I want to talk about is the 2018 album Taboo by Florida rapper Denzel Curry. This was my album of the year last year, and I've listened to it so many times. But it's, I mean, first of all, it's just really good. But the album cover depicts him painted as a clown. And a lot of the subject matter on the album is him talking about how he kind of feels like the industry's clown, you know? The people that listen to him, the people that consume his music, just want him to like sing and dance and just give them the content that they want, and then disappear, and then come back when they want more, but only when I want it. Not when you want it, only when I want it. And this like mentality, it's weird, because like I feel like with social media we have closer access to artists than we ever have before. Like it's a thing you can do. You can tweet at people that you like love their content, and there's like a bigger chance than ever that they might tweet back and like be like, hey, thanks. And it's crazy, but I think even with that, people still don't see artists as like people, and that's really not good. And that kind of like mentality was like exemplified a week ago at Tyler the Creator's music festival Camp Flog Gnaw, where he was like, hey guys, we're gonna have a special guest, you guys are gonna be crazy excited about it, it's gonna be crazy. And everybody got this idea in their minds that, oh, this special guest is gonna be Frank Ocean, which I mean, I guess I understand because he does a lot of stuff with Tyler and whatever. But everybody had this idea that it was gonna be Frank, and then Drake, the biggest artist in the whole like world, comes out, and everybody boos him off stage. I mean, obviously I think Drake makes more money than anybody ever. That's probably not true. He makes a lot of money, but even then, he's still a person. And just to see this artist and be like, no, you're not the one I wanted, get out of here, is crazy. And it really has a lot of the same feelings that Denzel raps about on his album, where artists aren't really seen as people, and they're kind of just seen as clowns to dance around for people. And that's really not cool, but the album is so cool. Thanks, Denzel Curry. So to kind of try to like sum up this whole witch's brew concoction of ideas I've just been lobbing at you for 10 minutes, here's what I'm gonna say. Album covers are incredibly important to me and also to the whole music scene in general. And I think they're a really integral part of the whole music experience as a whole. And I know I've talked about like physical records a lot in this video, but like, hear me out. I'm gonna sound like a crazy old man for like 2 seconds, but just bear with me. In this like digital age that we're in now, with all of these streaming services like Spotify and Apple Music, we have access to like millions of songs at our fingertips. I can play any song from the Madagascar 2 soundtrack at any time in like 2 seconds, and that's crazy. But imagine how difficult it would be to sift through this vast ocean of music that we have without album covers. So here I am, sitting in my little chair with this big old red sweater on, making the case that album covers are more important now than they've ever been. And I'm talking to you if you are an artist, and I'm telling you, if you're gonna make an album cover, go all out, or else Alex Steinweiss is gonna be disappointed in you and he's probably gonna haunt you. I don't make the rules.